Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back and it is Monday, January. My gosh, where did that come from? It is June 15th and the weather is beautiful here. I hope it is beautiful wherever you are. And what we're going to do, there's two things that are on tap for this evening. And the first thing I'm going to start with is getting us caught up with Q. So that is where we're going to start. And that will be the first video. The second video will be getting us caught up with the news. So there's two videos on tap for this evening, and we're starting with Q. This is these are the posts from June 13th, which I should have covered before now, but I have been sick. Both myself and my stepfather had some very strange flu-like illness that I've never seen the likes of. Really, it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. He has never in his life seen the likes of it either. So I don't know what it was, and I don't want to know. I just don't ever want it again. So anyway, let's get started here. I hope everyone is doing well. I've missed you guys because I've been away for 3 nights. That is the most I've ever been away for. So we are going to be trying to pick up some slack this week, and I'm going to try to do 2 videos a night for you guys because to make up for the time that I lost. So we'll see how that goes, but at least 1 video a night, but I'm going to aim for 2. All right, well, let's get started here. Again, this is the 13th of June, and we're on drop 4460. We are picking up exactly from where we left off in the last Q video. So here we have a link to a YouTube, and it says they can no longer hide in the dark. They can no longer hide in the dark. It's happening. You are watching it. The world is watching. Have faith in humanity. All right. Well, I'm not so sure that I have faith in humanity. I do have more than enough faith in God. But humanity is exactly that, just flesh and blood, and they do disappoint. So I don't know. I'm not sure about having faith in humanity, but let's go take a look at this, and it may... There's one in here that I can't play because it's all music and I don't want to get a copyright violation. I can't remember which one that is though. So yeah, it's this one. So I can't play this, but you can find this yourself on YouTube. It's called Come Together Mixed. Come Together Mixed. So I can't play that for you because I will get a copyright violation, and I'm on thin ice. As you know, I've already been demonetized. And speaking of that, I do have some people to thank, but I will wait for the second video to do that. So if you want to see that, again, just look for Come Together on YouTube and you'll be able to listen to that. Unfortunately, I can't play it for you. Okay. So we're going to go on to the next drop now, and we are on 4461. 4461. Only when evil is forced into the light can we defeat it. Now, that is very true because you can't defeat what you can't see. So when evil is forced into the light, it's kind of like cockroaches. When I lived down south in Louisiana, I never had a problem with it in North Carolina, but Louisiana, every now and then, I would find cockroaches and have to call, and I am impeccably clean. I mean, unbelievably clean. I get down on my hands and knees and scrub my floor. So I am impeccably clean, but it doesn't matter how clean you are in Louisiana, it happens because if you're I was in a condo, and so if the people next door to you have cockroaches, well, you do too. So, yeah, but the thing with them is you don't know that you have them because they like the dark. So you really don't know you have them until you get up in the middle of the night and you flick the light on. That's how you know, because if something scurries, you got them. So, yeah, that makes sense to me because I think about it like cockroaches. You can't fight what you can't see. So, only when evil is forced into the light can we defeat it. And We've got a picture here of some graves being trampled. They look like military graves, which is unfortunate to say the least. And Q says, only when evil is forced into the light can we defeat it. Only when they can no longer operate in the shadows can people see the truth for themselves. Only when people see the truth for themselves will people understand the true nature of their deception. Seeing is believing. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. It had to be this way. This is not another 4-year election. God wins. Q. Well, God always wins. You know, when I look at this drop, it makes me wonder if he is talking about what we are seeing now, because I don't think any of us expected to see what is happening. Now, I know they are being whipped into a frenzy by Antifa and Black Lives Matter and professional provocateurs, absolutely, but I didn't think we would see statues being pulled down. I didn't think I'd see it in my lifetime. And the things that we're seeing, looting, burning down people's businesses, you know, if Black Lives Matter, then why are they burning the businesses of, you know, Black-owned businesses and places where, you know, Blacks work and live and feed their families? Why are they burning them down if Black Lives Matter? I don't understand that. I don't see how that is helping anything, but it makes me wonder if this is being allowed to illustrate to people how bad it is. Well, I think it's working. I think a lot of people are absolutely, you know, mortified. And it was weird because I was watching Fox News. I'd taken my car to be serviced and I came back and I just flicked on the news, Fox News, to just catch up to see if anything had happened while I was gone. Because these days, I mean, you're away for an hour and, you know, it's like a whole year happens. But anyway, I came back and I was looking and it was saying that Black Lives Matter is now more important than any political party, more popular than Trump, more popular than Biden, more popular than anything. And I was thinking, really? I don't know. That's what they're trying to tell us. That's the narrative they're trying to spin now, that this is so popular and that it's becoming its own political party. Well, I really hope that doesn't happen any more than I would want to see a white Lives Matter party. I wouldn't want that either. I think that we are wonderfully diversified, and I think for the most part, we get along pretty good. So I just don't see how that is going to help anything. But I digress. Let's move ahead here. And we're on drop 4462. 4462. Only when good people collectively come together will positive change occur. That is very true. And Q says division, is man-made. I believe that is so. Division is designed to keep you powerless. Division is designed to keep you fighting each other. Division is designed to keep you enslaved. The narrative has you. No one person is above another. Unity is strength. Unity is love. Unity is humanity. Trust yourself. Think for yourself. Only when good people collectively come together will positive change occur. What is that saying? The only thing needed for evil to prosper is that good men do nothing. And so, yeah, we have to be proactive in this as well. But I don't believe that we are anywhere near as divided as they would like us to believe. That is not my experience. I lived in the States over 20 years and hope to be living there again soon. But that was not my experience when I was in the States. And, you know, when the hurricane hit and I was down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I saw the best of humanity. And, you know, I was living in a condo and there was, you know, It was mixed. There was black and white living there, but everybody came together and helped one another. I saw such a sense of community. Nobody cared what color your skin was. We just all pulled together and helped one another. And that's what I see. That's the way it's been everywhere I've lived in the States. And Canada, I've never really experienced it because the area that I'm in now is mostly white, and there's a large Indian population here as well. So, there's definitely, blacks here as well, but just not in the quantity that I saw down south. So, which makes sense. So anyway, but I've never experienced that. I've never experienced someone, hating me because I'm white, or maybe they did behind my back. I don't know, but now I have experienced racism on the opposite side. I have, people say comments and things that, and then they say, well, I'm not racist. And I'd say, yeah, you are. You don't say something like that if you're not racist. And if you have to preface something that you're saying by saying, I'm not racist, but yeah, you might want to take a look at yourself. But anyway, my experience, all I'm saying is we all have our own experiences, and maybe other people have had different experiences, but I've only had positive experiences. And I just believe that we're a whole lot more unified than they'd like us to believe. Okay, and we are now on drop 4463. 4463. Everything you see today is an attempt to eliminate your voice and your vote. Now, I definitely believe that. And Q says the following: your voice matters. Your vote matters. Everything you see today is an attempt to eliminate that. To remain silent, living in fear, being controlled, is to remain powerless. And Q has given us a definition. This links to this definition of powerless, having no power, as in the villagers are powerless against the armed invaders. How appropriate is that? The police seem to be powerless, equals unable to prevent these attacks. Isn't this interesting? Because this just links to the dictionary cambridge.org, and very, very interesting examples here. And synonym is impotent, lacking power. So that is what they're trying to do. And they've got this little psychological thing that they do. I saw it in 2016 with the election with where Hillary ran. And what they tried to do is they try to make it seem like there's no use in you voting for Trump because everybody's voting for Hillary and it's just a wasted vote. So you need to vote for Hillary because there's like a 98% chance that she'll win. And didn't we hear that over and over and over again? And all you heard on all the news stations was, there's not going to be a President Trump. It's ridiculous. Of course Trump has no chance of winning. That's what we all heard. And really, I wonder how many more votes he would have gotten if that hadn't been the case. Because what happens psychologically is you think, well, I was going to vote for him, but really there's not a snowball's chance in the warm place that he's going to get in. So I guess I'll just have to vote for Hillary. And that's what they're trying. Again, already we're seeing, Biden's way ahead in the polls. Are you kidding me? Trump just opened up his rallies and he had almost 1 million people want tickets to his rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You think Biden could draw 1 million people? I don't even think he could draw 10, maybe 10, definitely not 100. And they're keeping him hidden for a reason, because every time he's on, he makes some huge error and draws ridicule. But so really, I don't know how it could possibly be that a Biden is ahead in the polls. It's not possible. There's no way. No way. Yes, people that hate Trump are very, very vocal, but they're not the majority. They're not. All right. And Q continues here. A moment in time. History has taught us that people will rise, judgment, revolution day, against the rulers. Yes, absolutely. That's human nature to rise up against the rulers. From pharaohs to kings to elected officials, a rigged system of control and corruption. Evil. On the backs of people. And isn't that how all these robber barons, which is what I call them, isn't that how they all got rich? The Rothschilds and what have you, the elite of the elite, George Soros, haven't they gotten rich off the backs of the people? Absolutely they have. And it's a rigged system, totally rigged. Now, I wouldn't have believed that maybe 20 years ago. I sure do now. Modern day slavery. Slavery isn't just what we think of the slaves in the South and so forth. No, there is modern day slavery. And, when we are working, 40 hours a week and barely bringing home enough to feed our families and make do, and then you're stuck in all this red tape all the time. Everything is a massive deal. And it's designed to keep the poor poor. It really is. People will rise again. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil. In the heavenly realms. Q. And of course, that comes out of the book of Ephesians, straight Bible right there, the last paragraph. So, yeah, people will rise again. I have no doubt about that. But this whole system has been rigged to keep us enslaved. It really is. All right, let's go on here. And we're on drop 4464. 4464. The how will be hard to understand for most. The how will be hard to understand for most. Focus on the why. The when is now. Q. Now, you can read that, I guess, different ways, and I'm not sure. It says the how will be hard to understand. How it will come about is going to be hard for people to understand, but we are to focus on the why. Why did these things need to take place? Why? And the when, now this is good news, is now. So now is the time we need to focus on the why. Why do these things need to occur? And the how, and how is going to be hard for most to understand. Now, I look at this and I think, okay, why is the how going to be hard for people to understand? Is it because the traitors are going to be dealt with? They're going to receive a traitor's, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right? And, some of them, I would dare say, may end up losing their lives. So that would be hard for people to understand. You take somebody that's as popular as Obama. Now, Hillary, she's not popular as she likes to think she is, but, I think people would have a really hard time with Obama if that happened. I really do, because people still are in love with that guy. Why? I don't know. But he's kind of suave and he's, but crooked as the day is long and should never have been president because he was not qualified. Okay. So let's go on now. And we are on drop 4465, still on the 13th of June, and Q has not posted since then. So when we finish with the 13th of June, we will indeed be caught up. Biblical times, Q. So, yeah, interesting, because Q keeps saying, it will be biblical and so forth. So that could be interpreted many, many ways, but I'm going to I think I'm going to hold back on an interpretation for that because I think my interpretation would be probably very different than what Q's interpretation would be. So we're going to move ahead to the next one, and we are on drop 4466, 4466, the Declaration of Independence. Now, Q has left a link here, but he has been kind enough to pull out what we need to read here. So I don't think it's necessary for us to go to the, it's actually on ushistory.org, and it is the Declaration, and I'll just go out there to show you, but then I'm going to come back and read it on here. And here it is. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. So, this is, again, on ushistory.org. Would be a great place to brush up on your history. Okay, and let's come back here. Okay, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, Now, I probably won't be able to find where I was. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. Q. And very interesting indeed. That's not the first time that Q has quoted from the Declaration of Independence, and probably won't be the last time. And I think that what he is saying is that when government becomes, has absolutely descended into despotism and is no longer good for the people, it's not allowing for their life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then it's our duty to throw off that government. So I think that is exactly what Q is saying, and I think he is saying that it is necessary. What is coming is necessary to free us from what we've been under all these years and didn't even know it. Did you realize that Obama was doing what he was doing? I mean, some of it I was aware of, some of it, most of it not. It took Q and slowly learning about all these things. And, it's amazing what we've been sitting under all these years. All right, we are on to the next drop, and it's 4467. 4467. Symbolism will be their downfall. Again, Q has said this many, many times in the past, that symbolism is their downfall because we recognize them by their symbolism. It is a way of communication for them and much more. Symbols are powerful, very, very powerful. Okay, symbolism will be their downfall. They are fighting to regain control. You stand in the way. You, awake, is their greatest fear. Q. And here we have Lady Gaga with Bill Clinton, President Bush, George Bush Sr., Obama, and Carter. So we have, wow, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 former presidents and Lady Gaga standing between the two Bushes. That's what we have there. Now, I don't know why she's posing with all these presidents. Do any of you know? I know she's definitely being used in the true sense of the word. Okay, now we are on drop 4468. 4468. And says, meme, Democratic Party propped up by the mainstream media. And here you see a building that is falling over and it's being propped up. I don't know why you wouldn't just let it fall, but hey, I guess, I don't know. Why wouldn't you just let it fall? It's not like you can prop it up like that forever. But anyway, you've got CNN, MSNBC, CBS, NBC holding up this leaning building, which is the Democrat Party, and no hope for that building. No hope at all. So, yeah, it's not like they're going to stand it back upright and everybody's going to go live there. Anyway, so we also have a link here. Well, dang, I didn't copy the link. What the heck is the matter with me? I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know, because, you know, I'm better, but I'll never be well. I used to always say, you know, don't disturb any further. Anyway. All right, I'm going to have to go back out to the actual Q page and take a look from there, because I don't want to miss anything. Absolutely not. That's right here. Well, let's take a look at this. Oh, that's why I didn't copy it down. This tweet is unavailable. Gee, somebody angered the Twitter gods. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much to anger them at all. Not at all. I mean, if you're a conservative, pretty much anything you say will anger the Twitter gods. All right, well, let's go back. Since I have no idea what that says, it just says the Daily Beast. All right, sorry, I wish I could tell you what that said, but, well, you know, I can't. Okay, now we're on drop 4469. 4469, the historic significance of Old Glory, the flag of the USA. And we have a link here, and I think Q has pulled out what he wants us to see, but let's just take a look here. Okay. Okay, it says, of all the men who wore blue uniforms in the Civil War, none felt more keenly the purpose of his mission than the African-American soldier. Every marching step, every swing of a pick, and every round fired at Confederate enemies gave him a chance to strike a blow against slavery and prove himself equal to his white comrades. U.S. colored troops were consistently good fighters, performing well in every engagement in which they fought. Even their enemies had to grudgingly admit that fact. One USCT member, William H. Carney, transcended good to become great and was the first black U.S. soldier to earn the Medal of Honor. On February 17, 1863, at age 23, Kearny heeded the call for African Americans to join a local militia unit, the Morgan Guards, with 45 other volunteers from his hometown of New Bedford, Massachusetts. That unit would later become Company C of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment. There was something unique about this new regiment, commanded by Colonel Robert Gould Shaw. It was an all-black unit with the exception of senior officers and a few senior non-commissioned sergeants. The 54th Massachusetts was created to prove that black men could be good soldiers. Kearny was born a slave on February 29, 1840 at Norfolk, Virginia. His father, also named William, escaped slavery, reaching freedom through the Underground Railroad. William Sr. then worked hard to buy the freedom of the rest of his family. The free and reunited family settled in New Bedford in the second half of the 1850s. Young William learned to read and write, and by age 15, he was interested in becoming a minister. He gave up his pursuit of the ministry, however, to join the Army. In an 1863 edition of the abolitionist newspaper, The Liberator, Kearny stated, "Previous to the formation of colored troops, I had a strong inclination to prepare myself for the ministry. But when the country called for all persons, I could best serve my God, serving my country and my oppressed brothers. The sequel is short. In short, I enlisted for the war." So that is a wonderful story. That career change had momentous impact on Kearny's life, as the 54th Massachusetts had a chance to prove its mettle in the July 18, 1863 Battle of Fort Wagner outside of Charleston, South Carolina. During the fight, the 54th made heroic attacks on the garrison, and Kearny's bravery earned him a promotion to sergeant and the U.S. military's most prestigious award. Fort Wagner on Morris Island guarded the entrance to the harbor of Charleston. Shaw and the 600 men of the 54th Massachusetts would spearhead the Federal assault from a slim strip of sand on the east side of the fort, which faced the Atlantic Ocean. If that's him, he's a darn good-looking man. The 54th burrowed into the sand dune about 1,000 yards from Fort Wagner. Behind it was the 6th Connecticut Federal Land and Sea Artillery bombarded the fort all day long. By nightfall, orders were passed down, and the 54th stood up, dressed ranks, and attacked in 2 wings of 5 companies each. As the men advanced, they were immediately hit by a barrage of canister, musketry, and shelling from the fort. A bullet struck the 54th Color Sergeant, as the wounded man faltered, Kearny threw down his gun, seized the flag, and moved to the front of the 54th assaulting ranks. He soon found himself alone on the fort's wall, with bodies of dead and wounded comrades all around him. He knelt down to gather himself for action, still firmly holding the flag while bullets and shell fragments peppered the sand around him. Kearny surveyed the battlefield and noticed that other Union regiments had attacked to his right, drawing away the focal point of the rebel resistance. To his left, he saw a large force of soldiers advancing down the ramparts of the fort. At first, he thought they might be Union forces. Flashes of musketry soon doomed his hopes. The oncoming troops were Confederates. He wound the colors around the flagpole, made his way to a low protective wall, and moved along it to a ditch. When Kearny had passed over the ditch on his way to the fort, it was dry, but now it was waist deep with water. He seemed to be alone, surrounded by the wreckage of his regiment. Kearny wanted to help the wounded, but enemy fire pinned him down. Crouching in the water, he figured his best chance was to plot a course back to Federal lines and make a break for it. Kearny rose to get a better look. It was a fateful move. As he later wrote, "The bullet I now carry in my body came whizzing like a mosquito and I was shot. Not being prostrated by the shot, I continued my course, yet had not gone far before I was struck by a second shot." Despite carrying 2 slugs in his body, Kearny kept moving. Shortly after being hit the second time, he saw another Union soldier coming in his direction. When they were within earshot, Kearny hailed him, asking who he was. The Yank replied he was with the 100th New York and asked if Kearny was wounded. Kearny said he had indeed been shot and then flinched as a third shot grazed his arm. The 100th soldier came to his aid and helped him move farther to the rear. "Now then," said the New York soldier, "let me take the colors and carry them for you." Kearny, though, would not consent to that, no matter how battered he was. He explained that he would not be willing to give the colors to anyone who was not a member of the 54th Massachusetts. The pair struggled on. They did not get far before yet another bullet hit Kearny, grazing him in the head. The two men finally managed to stumble to their own lines. Kearny was taken to the rear and turned over to medical personnel. Throughout his ordeal, he held on to the colors. Cheers greeted him when Kearny finally staggered into the ranks of the 54th. Before collapsing, he said, "Boys, the old flag never touched the ground." During the battle, Company C of the 54th Massachusetts was able to, for a short time, capture a small section of Fort Wagner. The 54th suffered 272 killed, wounded, or missing out of the 600 in the battle. Colonel Shaw was among the dead. Total Union casualties were 1,515 out of about 5,000 in the assault force, while the Confederates had 174 casualties out of about 1,800 defenders. Although the Union forces were repulsed and had to lay siege to Fort Wagner, which the Confederates abandoned 2 months later, the 54th was widely hailed for its bravery. Like a pebble dropped into a puddle, the regiment's heroism had a ripple effect, spurring thousands of other black men to join the Union Army. Even Abraham Lincoln noted that the 54th's bravery at Wagner was a key development that helped secure final victory for the North. The bullet I now carry in my body came whizzing like a mosquito and I was shot. Not being prostrated by the shot, I continued my course, yet had not gone far before I was struck by a second shot. William Kearny recovered from the 4 wounds he received at Fort Wagner, and word soon spread of his unselfish actions. When Kearny's commanders heard about his conduct, he was promoted to sergeant. Later in the war, the 54th fought a rearguard action covering a retreat at the Battle of Olustee, but Sergeant Kearny could not participate in the engagement due to the lingering effects of his wounds. Because of his injuries, he was discharged from the Army a little more than a year after the battle on June 30th, 1864. Kearny subsequently married Susanna Williams, also of New Bedford, on October 11th, 1865. They had one child who later became an accomplished music teacher of the New Bedford area. In 1866, William Kearny was appointed superintendent of the streetlights for the city of New Bedford. He then went to California to seek his fortune, but returned to New Bedford in 1869 and took a job as a letter carrier for the Postal Service. He worked at that job for 32 years before retiring. After retirement, he was employed as a messenger at the Massachusetts State House, where in 1908 he would be fatally injured in an accident that trapped his leg in an elevator. Oh, poor man. William H. Kearny's valor at Fort Wagner was honored on May 23, 1900, when he was awarded the Medal of Honor. That was almost 40 years after he so proudly served with the 54th Massachusetts Regiment. He was the first black soldier to receive the award. When asked about his heroic actions, he simply said, "I only did my duty." Wow. Now, I probably didn't have to read all that, but I was really into the story, so I hope you are okay that I indulged myself, because I think it's a very important story to tell. And I had never heard that before. I had heard of the 54th Regiment, but I didn't know the story of this man, and it is wonderful. And actually, there was a monument to the 54th Regiment that was destroyed by Black Lives Matter. Which is really, really sad, because why wouldn't you want to remember the bravery of this, of those troops? They called them colored troops back then, but I don't think that would fly today. Anyway, let's go back here and see what else that Q has to say to us. He said, "Old Glory stands for freedom and equity and equality for all. The flag was carried by Union soldiers during the Civil War in a fight to abolish slavery versus Confederate Democrats. The flag of Lincoln. It was considered a great honor to be chosen to carry the flag in battle. The soldier was unarmed and knew they would most certainly die, as did most who fought, but understood that the fight, that their lives was worth the cost, self-sacrifice. They believed in something greater than themselves. To them, the flag represented a symbol of freedom, of hope, of equality and prosperity. To disrespect the flag, to kneel, is to disrespect those people who fought and died to provide each and every one of us the rights that we are afforded today. Old Glory knows not what color skin carries her. That's a great statement. Old Glory knows not what skin color carries her, only that for which it stands. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, to free from oppression. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for and protected and handed on for them to do the same, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free. And that is a quote from Ronald Reagan. And he ends it, Q. That was an awesome post. Awesome. And that's why it upsets me a lot when I see people burning the American flag, because I may not have been born in the States, but I chose to live there. And I love everything that the United States stands for. And I love the people of the United States. I always have. And to see them burning a flag, stomping on it, it really upsets me. Because for me, I don't know, the United States stands for freedom and liberty and the American dream. You know, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want to burn it, because if you don't like living in the country, if you think it's a horrible country, it's not that hard to immigrate somewhere else, especially if you want to come up here to Canada. Yeah, then you'll see how much freedom you really had. Then you'll appreciate it. Anyway, this by Lisa Mae Crowley. This is why Dems made up the lie regarding party switch and why they want to remove Confederate statues and flags. They are perpetuating that lie, trying to make it seem like they are the ones who Black Americans should trust, and POTUS and supporters are racist. And this is actually what we just read, so we don't need to take a look at that. This is my son Q2. This flag means so much to our country. It stands for equality and freedom and prosperity. Ask any refugee or international who has recently come to this country legally what Old Glory means to them. I'm so proud of my country, my president, and our U.S. military who protect us. I will not tolerate anyone who kneels and disrespects Old Glory. We have been given so much by God and as Americans, and this freedom cost so much blood from our veterans. The least we can do as Americans is stand and honor Old Glory and our national anthem. And I agree. You may not agree with everything that happens in the United States, but you can, respect the flag, respect the anthem. And as an immigrant, because I am illegal, I came there legally, I did everything legally, it always upset me to hear Americans put down their own country. It really bothered me. It bothered me a lot, because I could see, okay, it's not perfect. No country's perfect, but, sorry, the cat just moved the microphone. Anyway, it's not perfect, but my gosh, everyone in the world, when they see the American flag, knows what it stands for. Everyone. But some people don't appreciate because they've probably never lived anywhere else. And I think it should be mandatory for everyone to live like a year overseas somewhere. Really, you'll come to appreciate your own country Trust me, you will. All right, now we are on drop 4470, 4470, sorry about that. Biden worries about his children growing up in a racial jungle if integration is not done orderly. One must only look to find the truth. And there is a link here. We're going to go out to that right now. And, okay, I don't think that's it. Okay, yes it is. All right, new USC Gould law professor spotted this 1977 Biden quote. He warns that unless there is orderly integration, he favored housing, not busing. My children are going to grow up in a jungle, the jungle being a racial jungle. And here it is, right here. Here's the quote. And I'll read from here just so that we have the context. We have a fundamental disagreement, you and I suspect, as to what is needed to ensure that we do have orderly integration of society. I am not just talking about education, but all of society. I do not know your total position. Mr. Taylor has stated his as have others. I am anxious to hear from Mr. Fleming of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Unless we do something about this, my children are going to grow up in a jungle. The jungle being a racial jungle, with tensions having built so high that it is going to explode at some point. We have got to make some move on this. Interesting. Yeah, Biden likes to make himself out that he's not racist, but, you know, if you look at his past statements and so forth, yeah, not so much. He is definitely a Democrat. Let's just put it that way. He's definitely a Democrat. And we know how they feel. They want to keep blacks subservient. They want to keep their boot on their brow and keep them down. And they do that by handing out things to them, keeping them in poverty perpetually. All right, so let's go back and let's go on. We are now on drop 4471. Biden pushing 1994 crime bill, saying they must be taken off the streets, taken out of society. And we've got a link here that we're going to go out to. It says, welcome to the real Democrat Party. Knowledge is power. Yes, yes it is. Let's go take a look. Okay, hang on here. This is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We're going to play it in its entirety. This says, we remember, and I'm going to make it bigger for you tiny phone people because, you know, I love me, my tiny phone people. All right, let's listen.
That is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I want to ask, what made them do this? They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets. that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it.
Bobby Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, I'm ashamed that I voted for the 94 crime bill. You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all.
So, yeah. What do you think of that? Notice how he said those people. Those people. I don't know what to say. And this by Lisa Mae Crowley, Biden in 1993, they are beyond the pale. Many of those people beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. So what's he saying? He's saying, basically, well, we can't rehabilitate them, so we just have to lock them up. That's it. Just lock them up. Yeah. And I do believe that there should be money put into prevention. I really do. But defunding the police certainly isn't the answer. That's not the answer. But yes, I do agree that money has to be put into prevention. Big time money has to be put into prevention. But still, the police are going to be needed. They'll always be needed. And I don't think there's as big a problem as they want us to believe. Now, yes, there's a problem, but there's been a whole lot of white people they've killed too, unnecessarily. And I've seen a lot of those, you know, on film or on YouTube or whatever. But statistically, more whites are killed by police than blacks. So something's not meshing here. It's not meshing. Like, yes, there's a problem, and nobody should be killed unless it's absolutely, completely necessary for the safety of the officer. If somebody grabs an officer's gun, then, yeah, they need to be shooted. They need to be shot. Shoot it. Yeah, great grammar. Anyway, so, all right, let's go on. And here it says Hillary Clinton praising 1994 crime bill. We're on 4472. Hillary Clinton praising 1994 crime bill and increased police force to stop crime. And says more police prevent crimes. What changed? Yeah, back in 1994, they wanted more police, right? The 1994 crime bill, they wanted more police. We need more police. Now, oh, we don't want police. We're going to defund the police. And they're saying, oh, well, defunding the police doesn't mean that we're going to defund the police. Yes, it does. It does. I mean, they think we're so stupid. They really do. And it makes me laugh because I think, you know, by you thinking I'm stupid, it makes you look stupid. That's what I feel like saying to these people. All right. Okay, well, let's take a look at this.
The C-SPAN networks bring you long-form public affairs programming from the nation's capital and are a public service of your television provider. C-SPAN, created by cable.
The fourth challenge is to take back our streets from crime, gangs, and drugs. And we have actually been making progress on this count as a nation because of what local law enforcement officials are doing, because of what citizens and neighborhood patrols are doing. We're making some progress. Much of it is related to the initiative called community policing, because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994. He promised 100,000 police. We're moving in that direction, but we can see it already makes a difference, because if we have more police interacting with people, having them on the streets, we can prevent crimes. We can prevent petty crimes from turning into something worse. But we also have to have an organized effort against gangs. Just as in a previous generation we had an organized effort against the mob. We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to launch a very concerted effort against gangs everywhere. In addition to that, he has appointed a new drug czar. You probably saw him Tuesday night. He's one of the most distinguished active military generals that we have in our country. He's already proven that he knows how to interdict drugs because of his command of the South American activity on behalf of the United States. But General McCaffrey will make a big difference, and I believe it is now time for all of us to know what we can do individually to be part of this anti-crime, anti-gangs, anti-drug effort. The fifth challenge is to protect the environment.
Isn't that interesting? Because, you know, the first thing, I mean, first of all, she says we got to bring them to heel. Well, what do you bring to heel? A dog. A dog heals when he sits quietly at your heel. Right? You bring him to heel. The other thing is, of anyone in the entire world, she's probably the least likely to speak about drug crime because she embodies drug crime. You know, well, we all know. We all know what went on in Arkansas. We all do. So, yeah, she's one to talk about drug crime. Anyway, let's go on, shall we? Let's go back to here and move on. I think we are coming to the end here, and we're on drop 4473. Mainstream media and black community leaders give Biden a free pass over "you ain't black if you vote for Trump." So we've got this picture again with the Democrat Party being propped up by the mainstream media, and we have a we've seen this before, and I don't know if it's necessary to play it again. I will, but it's where he says to the guy, "You ain't black." And it says he apologized the same day. MSDNC provides a free pass. Black community leaders, millionaires paid for by Democrat Party, fly private, provide a free pass. Cute. Now, let's listen to Lisa Mae Crowley. She says Dems always get a pass with help of race baiters, Sharpton, Jackson, etc., just like Governor Northam, Howard Stern, and many others in politics and entertainment who wore blackface makeup. Thankfully, Blexit and walk-away movements are growing. And Sun Q2 says Biden apologized after making this racially charged comment, but fake news doesn't bring it up. Of course they don't. Imagine if Trump had said that. Could you imagine? I don't even want to imagine because I think they would literally crucify him. Okay, let's look at this. That's not it. Maybe it is. No, it's not. That's not it. Where is it? I don't.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man.
What record? What's he done?
I told you when I got to South Carolina, I won every single county. I won a larger share of the black vote than anybody has, including
So what?
Iraq.
I don't believe that. That he's got 81 support among blacks. I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, and they did. They gave him a free pass. Nobody really held him accountable for saying that, and it was inappropriate. Totally inappropriate. All right. Well, let's go back. And now we are on drop. On here, 4473, and we are on 4474, and this is the last, which brings us completely up to date with the Q posts. And as soon as this one uploads, I am going to be recording a news video as well. All right, so Joe Biden, I'm like the token black. Okay, and Q says another free pass. Well, sure, of course. He's going to get free passes.
Some of the money
That's not an announcement for office.
Whoops, what happened?
Senator, I'm sure that you would agree that your service in the Senate up to this point has not reflected any particular concern for the larger contributors.
Well, the fortunate thing is I didn't have many larger contributors. And the only reason, see, I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talk about it.
Okay.
But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son. And so I had to go out. Well, I had to go to a number of small contributors.
Well, I think we all are grateful, Senator. You didn't take no for an answer. but Senator, aren't you a living example?
I am an anachronism. I'm a 29-year-old oddball. The only reason I was able to raise the money is I was able to have a national constituency to run for office. Because I was 29, I'm like the token black or the token woman. I was the token young person.
We're talking about this national constituency. Some of the money
that's not an announcement for office.
So, yeah. I mean, he's got a history of making inappropriate comments, and yeah. And again, he gets a free pass. It's like he's a Democrat, so he can say whatever he wants, and nobody's going to take offense to it, right? Because he's a Democrat. Now, if Trump said something like that, oh my gosh. And yet, you see, Trump had there's been no racism. Nobody's been able to dig up anything of that nature on him. But it doesn't matter. They're still going to call him a white nationalist, a racist, whatever. So it has no basis in fact. It's just political. You know, the Democrats will do anything to win, and they don't care. If their candidates say something inappropriate, if they do something inappropriate, they don't care. They just don't want Trump. And we know why. So that brings us to the end and completely catches us up with Q, which is good. And I will continue to watch for new posts there and keep you updated. But I'm going to get this uploaded now, and I will be back with a news video, so stay tuned. Or, you know, you can come back and check it out tomorrow if you're short on time. So thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you waiting for me to return so patiently. I really do. So anyway, I will try to make it up to you this week and get some good stuff for you. All right. Well, good night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and please keep seeking truth. Good night, guys.